One Zambia, One Nation, with the news at 18 on TV2. I'm Patricia Ellis. Top stories in the news. Residents of Kitwe in Kana West, whose property was affected by the blast at the Black Mountain, will be compensated. The Zambia Environmental Management Agency, ZEMA, has called on the residents in Lusaka ZAMBIA area to venture into business of recycling solid waste to reduce on garbage in the community. And also coming up in the news, sports analyst and administrator Ruben Kamanga has described the resignation of senior Chipolo Polo coach Wedson Nyirenda as an emergency situation that needs to be attended to as soon as possible. Thank you for joining us, and now the news in detail. Residents of Kitwe in Kana West, whose property was affected by the blast at the Black Mountain, will be compensated. Ministry of Mines Permanent Secretary Paul Chanda has disclosed this at a media briefing in Kitwe. Mr. Chanda says government remains resolute in ensuring that a safe environment is created for all mining operations in the country. He has also warned that mining firms who fail to meet safety and conditions of their grant licenses will have their operating documents revoked. And Mr. Chanda disclosed that a technical evaluation into Wednesday's blast at the Black Mountain reveals that large quantities of explosives were used disproportionately.
Is therefore expected to abide by the regulatory framework for the mining industry before continuing with its operations. Chapam Limited has no statutory exemptions whatsoever not to execute an environmental impact study for the operations at the site, as well as outage routes proposed. 4 outs of loose slag material from the haul trucks or the trucks throughout the long transportation routes must cease in order to protect other motorists. In this case, I'm talking about loose materials falling off the trucks as they're transporting this material to the destinations.
The Zambia Environmental Management Agency, ZEMA, has called on the residents in Lusaka ZAMBIA area to venture in the business of recycling solid waste in order to reduce the number of garbage in the community. ZEMA Corporate Affairs Manager Irene Chipeli has called on residents to ensure that they dump their site in designated dumping sites provided by the local authority. She was speaking when ZEMA collected huge heaps of garbage from Baoleni compound. More in this report.
Readiness to commemorate the World Environment Day, which falls every year on 5th June, the Zambia Environmental Agency, ZEMA, started carrying out activities that promote cleanliness. This is in line with the Keep Zambia Clean and Green campaign that was recently launched by President Edgar Lungu. ZEMA has thanked various cooperating partners for helping with logistical issues to help remove the historical waste at Lusaka's Baoleni market.
So we basically selected Baoleni main markets because of the amount of waste that is being generated from this area. So ZEMA, in collaboration with various stakeholders, predominantly members of the community here, I would like to appreciate the local leadership, the area councillor and the local leadership here for agreeing to partner with us, because we want to basically promote sound environmental management.
And the chairperson of the Waste Recyclers Association, Harrison Musonda, has encouraged the residents of Baoleni compound to start selling waste materials that can be recycled. He says the association currently has more than 10 recycling companies that are buying waste, hence the venture being a good way of earning a living, as the waste materials can fetch as much as 3 kwacha per kilogram.
I think us, we are spreading a message to the people that they shouldn't just look at the waste to be a problem, but us have got a message that even waste is a resource.
The councillor has encouraged mindset change amongst the residents, as he says the indiscriminate disposal of waste can only be attributed to the lack of knowledge on the multiple advantages that a clean environment has.
An emphasis that I'd like to make known, or rather mention to the community of Kablonga Ward 16, is that we need to look after our environment and also just have a change of our mindset, because I think that's where it starts from.
And the residents have welcomed the move by ZEMA as it coincides with the Keep Zambia Clean and Green campaign.
Setonga chapezi komupa kuklina kwa clean wa siku ya lero shikodo tienzia chilamu mbaule ni maningi
kubaule ndifokondwera Steve Naija isiteda bachakapo ya kule yakachake pofutija kuseza so ndifokondwera pa metete ZEMA hii yasenza pamoja.
With such great initiatives by ZEMA, it is hoped that the local authority through area councillors will be able to carry out sensitization programs that encourage clean environments. Peter Kabwe, TV2 News in Lusaka.
Meanwhile, some shops in Lusaka have remained open despite the mandatory cleaning exercise that was being conducted countrywide. A check by TV2 News in Lusaka's Garden, Emersdale and Kamala trading areas, however, found that some shops were closed for business. And Lusaka Deputy Mayor Chilando Chitangala has expressed displeasure at some shop owners and residents who decided not to take part in the cleaning exercise. Lucky Piri reports.
Business is closed and it is time to clean. Government directed that on Saturday 26th May 2018, all shops should close for people to participate in the mandatory cleaning exercise. And business was suspended from 06 hours to 10 hours in the morning to facilitate for the cleaning exercise. Despite the directive, some selected shops in Lusaka's Garden, Emersdale and Kamala Trading Center remained open for business. However, for these traders at Bowlen Market, the cleaning exercise should be embraced.
Cleanness is next to godness. Manga stikirina tizankala po branch pa market. Tizagulisa branch. Tifunika tikirina.
And Independence Ward 14 Councillor George Daka is disappointed that some people have decided not to participate in the exercise.
So this is the responsibility of each and every Zambian to take part. We don't need the soldiers every time when we want to clean, soldiers to come and push us, no.
Deputy Mayor Chilando Chitangala has however called for increased sensitization to have more people participating in the next cleaning exercise.
It hasn't been as good as we expected, but most of the residents have complained that they didn't receive messages. So it means that we need to do a lot of sensitization from now onwards.
This is the first time the exercise is being held after President Edgar Lungu relaunched the Keep Zambia Green and Health campaign. Lucky Piri, TV2 News, Lusaka.
Kafiwe Member of Parliament Miriam Chonya has called on residents in her area to ensure that they take up the cleaning initiative with the seriousness that it deserves. Ms. Chonya was speaking during the relaunch of the Keep Zambia Clean, Green and Healthy campaign in Kafiwe today. And Kafiwe District Commissioner Joseph Kamana says he is happy that residents in the area, including the business community, have taken part in the exercise. And Kafiwe Council Secretary Aaron Kamalondo has advised the residents to adhere to the core to clean the environment as it is now law. Meanwhile, in Chilanga, traders at Tuatasha Market have been urged to ensure that every last Saturday of the month is dedicated to cleaning their surroundings. Chilanga District Commissioner Edith Mwanwa said the cleaning should not only be done at the marketplace but in the neighborhood as well.
It is an early job that traders at Tuatasha Market, led by Chilanga District Commissioner Edith Mwanwa, got off to early this morning. The cleaning exercise is in line with the directive from the President's office, and this has been welcomed by the traders.
mlandolo mesenzo kwanza gambo kilina kupyanga bambo na chankala chizibiso leo tufunika tipitilize kupyanga kutichilanga yatu yoneke clean.
However, Chilanga District Commissioner wants the traders and the residents of Chilanga to make cleaning not just a habit but a lifestyle.
So mfuniko ziva at last Saturday of every month 7 hours up to 10 hours ni kukiri na ma areas mwatwaini. So mukayangana nizi wakuti kunonde kwa metichira business ya twaini. But ya mini program na kumanyumba funika na kweve kumanyumba tapiti design. Even there many PF government if unakuli ine na imwine kozi muona pasipa mamanti yako mbuyo kutosina mbuyo na college. So manje stiff na kuti cholera itipeze na full.
It is hoped that in the near future, the cleaning exercises will be part of every Zambian's daily activity. Kabembeka Sabula, TV2 News in Chilanga District.
We go for our commercial break and thereafter we continue with more news. To stay tuned. We continue with the news. Farmers in Imbonge Agricultural Camp in Solwezi, Northwestern Province, are appealing to government to facilitate the mechanization of small-scale farmers. The farmers say there is a need to mechanize the agriculture sector to enable the move from the traditional use of a hand hoe to advanced agricultural equipment like tractors. One of the farmers, Record Chioma, says there is no mechanized equipment nearby in the various communities for the farmers to hire during the farming season. Mr. Chioma was speaking during the Imbonge Agricultural Camp show held at Imbonge School Ground in Solwezi. Details in this report by Nais.
Of access to advanced mechanized equipment for their farming practice. They have depended on using a hand hoe for their cultivation. This has affected their lack of increase in cultivating more hectares. They have an appeal to make.
But we need a lot of assistance, sir. Am I talking to the DACO? Yes, yes, sir. We are only appealing for help in Imbonge. You know, all these things that are done here, we are still in the old days, 50 years ago, 54 years ago, where we used dust oils everywhere. Yes.
Though facing some challenges, they appreciated the efforts of government for the support through FISI program.
We as farmers of Bonge Farming Camp would like to appeal to the government through the DACO's office to expeditiously work on the e-voucher system so that farmers can be getting their inputs on time.
And gracing the show, Solwezi District Agriculture Coordinator urged farmers to be innovative and diversify in their agriculture production.
Indeed, with the quality and diversity of exhibits displayed here today, there is no doubt that the various interventions by the different players that we have seen even here today, whether it's Sitco, whether it is Kansanshi, and a lot of other people who are working with us, we're able to see that these are bearing fruit, but of course starting with us ourselves as farmers. Indeed, through diversification, we ensure that throughout the year, we're able to raise income for ourselves.
Other partners in agriculture development also participated at the camp show. Both Solwezi District Show Society and Camp Agriculture Committee CAC were represented at the event. Clifford Tuta reporting in Solwezi District, Northwestern Province.
Lusaka's Mtendere Ward 30 Councillor Watson Mtonga says he is disappointed with the manner in which the court has been handling the case of the teenage gang known as Fluffies in his ward. Mr. Mtonga says in the recent past, some gang members have been arrested, but the courts have allegedly released them on the basis of being underaged. The civic leader says owing to this background, the number of the Fluffies in Mtendere has escalated, a situation which is making residents to live in fear. Mr. Mtonga was speaking when he featured on 7 Days Today.
What I would say that I need to commend the police service. Even before Mtendere police was closed, our guarant officers took a center stage and they made sure that a lot of these young boys were apprehended and taken to the courts of law. But as area councillor, I'm somehow disappointed, sorry to say this, I'm disappointed on how the matters are being handled at our Lusaka Magistrate Courts, because every time these boys are taken to the courts, after 1 month the boys are being released and they are treated as minors because they of their age, starting from 14 to 17 years, and according to the rule, maybe regulations and what is happening at the courts, they say they need to go for counseling, but when they come back, they come back as hardcore criminals.
The ex-prisoners reintegration organization has called on recently pardoned inmates in the country to uphold the highest level of discipline and refrain from any criminal activities. Organization President Derek Malumo says the ex-prisoners should instead use the skills they acquired while in prison to positively build their lives. Mr. Malumo, who is also an ex-prisoner, has also called on the society to accept and embrace the former inmates, adding that they need the full support of family and friends. Speaking when he featured on TV2's 7 Days Today program, Mr. Malumo said his organization has been advocating for government to ensure that ex-prisoners are given the opportunity to return to work once released from prison.
TV to witness what we did at Lusaka Central Correctional Facility. This is what we want to replicate. The organization is setting up a registration center, or if you want, you may call it a referral center to services. At PPAZ, Planned Parenthood Association of Zambia is our biggest partner in this matter. They have accommodated us. I think Fairview Hospital. I mean Fairview Hotel, just opposite. So this is also an information to ex-prisoners out there to say you can reach us there for services. So what we did yesterday was we set up a registration desk just as the correctional facility at Lusaka Central. Immediately our colleagues were coming out, we had to administer a questionnaire just to find out where they are going, what they are going to do, who they expect to receive them, what they were doing before going there.
We go for our final commercial break, and thereafter we come back with for the rest of the news. And now the rest of the news in sports news. Sports analyst and administrator Ruben Kamanga has described the resignation of senior Chipolo Polo coach Wadson Nyirenda as an emergency situation that needs to be attended to as soon as possible. Kamanga says the Football Association of Zambia FAZ has no choice but to settle for an expatriate coach in order to arrive at the desired results for the Chipolo Polo. He says football is a game of results, and FAZ must begin to work towards ensuring that the team has the fundamental structures. Kamanga has since commended Nyirenda for the role he played as team coach. He was speaking when he featured on TV2's News and Current Affairs program 7 Days Today.
I can tell you, for example, Spain, over the last 3 years, they've changed the team several times. Germany as well, after winning the World Cup, a number of players had to leave. So football is a form game. Players that are not in form will have to leave way. So when you talk about rebuilding, you need to have the fundamental structure and the pillars of your team. You need to have certain positions guaranteed by players that are always in form. And I think that's our starting point. We did rebuild. We retired a couple of players that won the Africa Cup of Nations. That was expected. But we needed to quickly now start identifying players that are in form. And yes, you give credit to Wadson Nyirenda. I think the project that he started was the correct one. He was moving in the right direction. I think it's a time it was taking to rebuild. That was an issue of concern for me. If you are rebuilding and it's actually affecting your results, maybe stop rebuilding, put in emergency measures to make sure that you get your result. And that didn't happen and happened earlier. And that is why maybe FAZ decided that they send him to training.
The Football Association of Zambia FAZ announced the resignation of senior Chipolo Polo coach Wadson Nyirenda with immediate effect on Thursday. To end the news, a recap on the top stories. Residents of Kitwe's in Kana West, whose property was affected by the blast at the Black Mountain, will be compensated. Ministry of Mines Permanent Secretary Paul Chanda has disclosed this at a media briefing in Kitwe today. The Zambia Environmental Management Agency ZEMA has called on the residents in Lusaka ZAMBIA area to venture in the business of recycling solid waste in order to reduce on the number of garbage in the community. ZEMA Corporate Affairs Manager Irene Chipili has also called on residents to ensure that they dump their waste in designated dumping sites provided by the local authority. Finally in the news, sports analyst and administrator Ruben Kamanga has described the resignation of senior Chipolo Polo coach Wadson Nyirenda as an emergency situation that needs to be attended to as soon as possible. Kamanga says the Football Association of Zambia FAZ has no choice but to settle for an expatriate coach in order to arrive at the desired results for the Chipolo Polo boys. That ends the news at 18 and next news broadcast is at 20 hours. Bye-bye for now.